What if Deku had Sans powers? Part 1. Now we start Izuku's journey of him being born like any other normal child. He would be born by his mother, Inko Midoriya, and he would be given the name Izuku Midoriya, which he would later get a nickname of Deku. By the age of 4, he would have been a happy-go-lucky child that loved watching heroes, especially All Might. He always dreamed of becoming a hero just like All Might and saying, "I am here," smiling brightly to people and saving so many of them. But when he turned 4, he jumped excitedly out of his bed and would run straight into his mother's room and would start bouncing on her bed. Mom, today's the day! Today is the day I'll finally get my Quirk!" Inko would trickily get out of bed as she'd say, "Settle down, Nezuko. We'll go to the Quirk doctor after breakfast." Inko would get changed, make breakfast, and then they would go to the doctor's office to where they would walk into a room. The doctor would walk in moments later as he would sit down with a clipboard looking over the papers. He would take his glasses off as he would then look directly into Inko's eyes as he would then say this: "I'm sorry, Miss Midoriya. Your son here, he's quirkless." Inko would just feel her heart drop as Izuku would instantly let go of his All Might action figure, just completely shocked. He was quirkless? How will he ever become a hero? There's no way. That's the only thing he's ever wanted to be in life, to become a hero. But now he can't, just because a doctor said he was quirkless? Izuku would then leave the doctor's office, where he would go to the playground telling Bakugo that he was quirkless. This is where Bakugo would give Izuku the nickname of Deku. Izuku would be heartbroken that his only friend that he had just said, "You know what? You're Deku, you're useless." And from there on, he would grow up a sad childhood. Sure, he had his mother, but that's the only person he had. The only person he could talk to without being yelled at or looked down upon, because everybody hated him. Everybody thought of him like a trash or a pebble they could easily step over. Izuku was the trash of the school. The worst person in the school. Not in what they do, but in the eyes of everyone around him, in the eyes of Izuku's peers, because he was quirkless. Now we come to the start of canon, or the start of My Hero Academia. This is where Izuku would walk into class of his last period of the school year. The teacher would hand out all of the high school papers and would collect them as he would throw them up in the air saying, "Who needs these stupid papers? I know you all want to be heroes." The entire class would cheer in excitement as if they all truly wanted to become heroes, just like the heroes they see on TV and like All Might. Now, from there, the teacher would then say, "Oh, it appears we have 2 students in our class trying to get into UA. I wonder who they could be." "Well, of course, the first one's Bakugo Katsuki," a member in the back of the class would say, with the teacher just putting down one paper saying, "That's correct. But can any of you others guess who the other one is?" The entire class would contemplate before shrugging off, thinking they don't know who it is. The teacher would then slam down the paper saying, "It's Izuku Midoriya, of course," as the entire class would burst out laughing, just saying, "Izuku, you," as they'd all point towards him. "There's no way you can get into UA. You're a quirkless nobody." Izuku would shrivel down to try to become smaller as he didn't want to get the attention that he was getting. The bell would ring with most of the students leaving, however, only one person stayed behind, this person being Katsuki Bakugo. He would walk up to Izuku as he would then just look down at him, saying, "You want to become a hero, huh? You're quirkless. Forget it." But I do have another way for you to get a Quirk. Walk up a flight of stairs to the roof and take a swan dive off of it. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to have a Quirk in your next life, Izuku. Izuku would just be dumbfounded by what Bakugo had said, as he would push by Bakugo, just saying, yeah, you're right. Bakugo would just think nothing of it, like, yeah, Izuku, there's no way Izuku could be doing that. So he would walk off with Izuku slowly creeping up the flight of stairs, as the lonely hallways he would pass were frightening to him. He would reach the top of the building and would walk into the roof by pushing open a door. From there, he would look over the edge. It was very windy, as Izuku would sit down just looking at the view as he would hear a strange voice next to him. Nice view, isn't it? Izuku would just calmly answer, yeah, it is. Izuku would be wondering what's with the strange noise, but he couldn't really put his mind to what it could be. This strange person would then say, hey, why are you up here? Izuku would just want to know that question too, with just saying, I'm not sure either. I'm contemplating something. Sans, or this person now known as Sans, would say, well, what are you contemplating? Izuku would say that he has been bullied for years because of his quirkless power. He doesn't have a power. He's quirkless, which is what quirks are. A special power everybody has, except for him and 20% of the population. Sans would just look at Izuku, saying that's quite unfortunate. By the way, kid, what's your name? Izuku would just say, oh, it's Izuku Midoriya, and yours? Who the hell are you? Sans would just look at him saying, whoa, kid, calm down. But you're a skeleton, Izuku would say, with Sans just laughing, saying, yeah, you noticed? I can't believe it's that hard for you to tell that I'm a skeleton. Izuku would be backed up against a wall, just wondering how this person got up with the roof with him, as he was sure he closed the door behind him. This person would just laugh, as he would say, well, I think I know a solution to the problem you have there, but there might be some slight side effects. Izuku would just stare at him, saying, wait, are you saying there's a way I can get a power? Sans would just look at him, saying, of course there is. I can give you mine. Izuku would be dumbfounded. Wait, you'd really do that? He would say, as Sans would just answer, of course I would. I deem you a worthy successor to my powers. Now you can go ahead and take them. Just be wary of the consequences that may come with them. Izuku would reach out his hand with Sans as well, grabbing Sans' hand and going in for a handshake, as Sans would then disappear, only leaving his blue parka or coat. Izuku would just wonder, where did he go? He would hear Sans' voice up in his head saying, oh, I went into your mind just so I can help you with your power situation. Sure, you have my powers, but you don't exactly know how to use them. Izuku would just say, well, I guess that's correct. He would pick up the parka, but would look down at his hands, as he would let out a massive scream. What the hell happened to me? Sans would just laugh up in Izuku's mind, saying, well, you did agree, knowing that there would be consequences, just didn't expect them to be to this extent. It appears you might have turned into a skeleton. Izuku would just look down at his hands, all bony, with no skin at all, just wondering, oh my gosh, Mom's not gonna know who I am anymore. Sans would just laugh, saying, well, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do, won't you? Izuku would put on Sans' parka, or coats. I'm gonna call it a parka from now on. That's what the Wikipedia page says. Because I read that, even though I know most of Sans powers, I just wanted to make sure. Izuku would just walk down the flight of stairs, now happy that he knows he has a power now. He has a reason to live. He would be walking down the street, now just a complete skeleton, wearing a parka and some gym shorts, as people would give him some weird stares. Just the clanking of his bones, with people just wondering, the heck is that? Why is there a skeleton walking down the street? Izuku would start to hear screams as you would hear an explosion go off around or a block away. Izuku would rush over there as he would see Bakugo Katsuki trapped in a sludge villain. As Izuku would start to react, this is where he would first use Sans powers, possibly one of the most well-known Sans powers, the Gaster Blaster, which I think that's how you pronounce it. Izuku, right away, not thinking, would summon two Gaster Blasters as they would open their mouth, releasing a massive blue energy that would go spiraling right towards the sludge villain's eyes, easily taking them out, piercing them as the sludge villain would scream in agony, having his eyes just be disintegrated by these two random beams coming right at him. Izuku would then teleport behind the sludge villain and grab Bakugo, pulling him out as he would give Bakugo to the heroes, as the sludge villain would then just turn into a puddle, having died from the sheer amount of pain and agony he was experiencing. Izuku would go to walk away, as one of the heroes would try to grab his shoulder, but would feel how bony it was and would immediately retract their hand. "Hey kid, you know that was dangerous of you. You could have died." Izuku would turn around, just saying, "Well, doesn't it look like I'm already dead to you? Just look at my hand." As he would start to move his fingers, with the hero just laughing awkwardly. "Yeah, sure." Izuku would just start to walk back to his house, as he would open the door using his house key, and would then lock it, as he would go to sit down, with Inko finally turning around and would scream, saying, "Who the hell are you, and why are you in my house?" Izuku would just laugh awkwardly, as he would then say, "Mom, it's me, Izuku. I guess I finally developed a quirk after all these years." Inko would immediately retract the frying pan she was about to whack Izuku with, as she would then just say, "Oh, Izuku, I'm so sorry. Here, have some dinner. I prepared it just for you." Izuku would thank her and would then go to bed, happy for the next day, as he had 10 months of training to do. And now a quick ad break.
Are you interested in buying yourself some My Hero Academia merch? Some amazing hoodies, shirts with your favorite character on it? From Izuku Midoriya to Shoto Todoroki, Bakugo Katsuki, and Himiko Toga. Go click the link in my description box now and get some awesome discounts from 17% up to 48% off. They offer you free shipping as well. So, what are you waiting for? Link in the description.
Now that the ad is over, we can get back into this what if. Izuku would wake up happy to start his 10 months worth of training before the UA entrance exams. He would start off by learning the basics of Sans powers before getting into some of the harder stuff. So by the end of the 10 months, he would already be pretty well known and used to using Sans powers, and it became a reaction. If something bad was about to happen, he would most likely use it. It's not like he would shrivel up like how his old self was. However, another drawback, besides him becoming a skeleton, was he also became somewhat like Sans, mostly his lazy side. Izuku noticed that it became a tad bit harder for him to get motivation to train, but that wasn't that much. So when the 10 months would pass, he would travel to UA to take the entrance exam. When he would get there, he would walk into an auditorium and would sit down waiting for President Mike to begin with his explanation. He would start to explain the written exam and would then hand it out, giving them all 3 hours to finish the test. Izuku would obviously finish the test within those 3 hours and would hand it back when President Mike asked for them, as he would then start to explain what they will be doing next, being the hero training, while those who did not want to go into the hero course left, which was not many of them. From there, President Mike would hand out letters that would show them where the city they were in and what city they were in. So if someone got assigned a letter A, they would go to city A with the letter showing instructions to where it was. From there, President Mike would just explain the robots about how there was a 1-pointer, 2-pointer, and 3-pointer. From there, a kid would stand up with blue hair as he would start to lecture President Mike about how it's a disgrace to UA and the examinees there that UA somehow could have messed up the pamphlet, as there is clearly 4 robots on there instead of the 3 President Mike had explained about. And you, the kid would say, turning towards Izuku, who had fallen asleep, dozing off, getting bored of President Mike's explanation. Izuku would keep sleeping, with Hida just trying to yell at him to wake him up. He would eventually get bored of this and would sit down with President Mike saying, "Well, sorry for that hiccup, class." And he would begin to explain the 0-pointer, saying that it was just an obstacle and they really had no need to explain it, but I guess that kid just wanted them to explain it a little more. From there, all the kids would get up and would start to walk out of the auditorium, which would make a whole lot of noise, which would cause Izuku to wake up. He would wake up saying, "Huh? Oh, we're leaving now? Okay." He would get up and start to walk with everyone out of the door, as he would make it to City A, which was the one he was assigned to. He would be sitting there as he would see a girl very, very nervous, trying to hype herself up for the exam. Izuku would walk up to her and put his cold bone hand right on her shoulder, which would cause her to freeze up, as it was a tad bit scary, as if some type of weird villain was there, with Izuku just turning her around as he'd say, "You're a bit nervous, huh? You should try this technique," as Izuku would give her a technique to try to calm down, to which she would do it, calming herself down by a little bit, and would thank him, as the doors would then open, as Izuku would say, "Well, that's my cue," as he would teleport off to fight robots. Very, very easily, he would teleport right in front of robots, easily just punching them, destroying them with ease. Another trick Izuku would do was put a large group of floating bones around him, and if he saw a large group of robots just standing out in the middle of nowhere, he would send the bones flying at them with tremendous speed, which would impale the robots cleanly and just destroying them, giving Izuku a huge total and amount of points. He would go around easily doing this while also saving other kids, even saving the kid that was yelling at him, which Izuku never really noticed. Remember, he was sleeping during the kid yelling at him, so he didn't hear him at all. Izuku would continue doing this, racking up points, as the teachers would just be like, "Holy crap, this kid's insane. Do you see his point count? It keeps going up. He has some sort of teleportation quirk, but also a bone quirk." Nezu would just look at them, saying, "This reminds me of an incident. Somebody we've never seen before." He would turn his chair along with all of the teachers, turning on a TV, which would then play a recording from a CCTV camera. I think that's what it's called, or a surveillance camera, which would show a skeleton with a blue parka walking up to a sludge villain, and spawning some weird type of dragon skull that shot a blue energy laser out of its mouth and destroyed the sludge villain while also saving that kid. Nezu would look at the teachers that were working for him, just staring intently at the screen, while also just talking to himself, mumbling just like Izuku does in canon. I think that kid down there is the same here. Well, at least we know he's gonna make it into UA. There's absolutely no chance he won't. Aizawa would just look at Nezu, saying, well, he still has to pass my Quirk test on the first day of school. Nezu would nod, just saying, yes, but I feel like he won't have trouble doing that at all. Aizawa would nod, just saying, yeah, you're probably right, and would walk off into the teacher's lounge, having seen enough from all of the kids there, already knowing who he wanted in his class and who he did not. He would then sit down as he would hear Nezu open some type of latch and press a big red button. We cut back to Izuku, who would start to see the ground shake and would hear rumbling. He would wonder what that noise was as he would teleport on top of a building, as he would see a huge robot with a massive zero on its head. He would then hear a scream as he would teleport close to the scream, seeing a girl trapped under there, as he would see that it was Uraraka. He would rush up to Uraraka and would try to smash the boulder around her, which he would effectively do. He would pick Uraraka up and would run her the opposite way so that she wouldn't get harmed with what Izuku was about to do. He would give her to the kid with the speed quirk, telling him to run as far as possible, as he would then summon a Gaster Blaster and teleport right up towards the massive zero pointer, as he would then just say, I don't have a lot of time to do this. Shoot now, or whatever. The Gaster Blaster would fire a shot, opening its mouth wide, as a blue energy beam would come spiraling out and destroy the head of the Gaster Blaster. Oh my god, destroying the head of the zero pointer. I'm such an idiot. As the zero pointer would fall forward, completely lifeless, having all of its wires in its head being just completely burned, as Izuku would teleport back to them, just stretching, saying, that was a good fight, I guess. It's a good test for my abilities and strengths. He would then start to walk away, not really minding anybody else that was there. He would end up walking home, as he would sit at the dinner table with Inko just asking him how he thought it went and how he felt about the whole test that he had to do. Izuku would just start to explain that it felt quite good to do and use all his powers at once. It's the first real time he had to use some of his powers full extent, but not all of it. Remember, he got some of Sans laziness. Sure, it didn't show out there because he hadn't made it into UA yet. He didn't want to be lazy because he knew if he was, he could possibly be seen as a lazy person and would have been just not accepted into the UA Hero course. So he had to act his best to try and get in. Izuku would explain this, as he would just explain how he thought it went well and that he's sure that he went in and got one of the highest scores. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, a letter would come in the mail, as it would read, Dear Izuku Midoriya, you have done quite well in the UA entrance exam, and for that, you have been accepted into the UA Hero course. Please come down to UA on this date at this time to collect your UA uniform. Have a nice day, as the letter would end with Izuku just tossing it into the trash and would wait for that day to come. A week would pass, as that day would also pass with him going to the school on that such day to get his uniform. From there, he would actually be told to go to the principal's office, to which he would. He would slouch down in the chair of the office, just saying, "So, why'd you call me here?" Nezu would sit up, saying that they've never seen such a quirk like his before. It's quite interesting to see it. I've never seen a quirk turn somebody into a skeleton before. Izuku would just laugh nervously, saying, "Yeah, it is quite strange, huh?" Nezu would wonder why Izuku was nervous, but didn't really care, telling Izuku that he may leave to go pick up his uniform. Nezu would just say, that kid is a strange one." Now a week would pass, with Izuku finally being able to come into UA. He would come in not wearing a uniform, feeling that he was didn't bother to put it on, and he just decided to put his, or Sans classic parka on, just feeling like, meh. I mean, there was no full rule to support that he had to put it on, so he just didn't. He would walk into UA 10 minutes late, as he would see some type of yellow caterpillar standing outside the door. He would look at it, just wondering why it's standing there, as Izuku would move his hand in front of the hole, now realizing that it was a sleeping bag with a face around that round cut out of the yellow sleeping bag. This person would then wake up saying, "What? Who are you?" Izuku would just say, "Oh, I'm Izuku." "And you?" "Well, I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher, I'm assuming. And you're in class 1A, right?" Izuku would answer saying, "Yes, I am. So you're my teacher, huh?" Aizawa would get out of the sleeping bag, very tiredly, just saying, "You're late." Izuku would just laugh, saying, "Yeah, I know. I had trouble getting out of bed today, you know? Seems like you kinda did too." Aizawa would nod, not really having a problem with it, as he would walk into the class and stand up on the podium. Izuku would walk in and sit down with the only seat remaining, as Aizawa would start to take roll call, as he would say, "Izuku Midoriya." Izuku, of course, would say, "Here," as Bakugo Katsuki would then turn around saying, "Hey, there's no way in hell you're Izuku. Izuku had flesh, you're just some skeleton." Izuku would just laugh, saying, "Oh, Bakugo, so much has changed in the 10 months that you haven't seen me. It's quite funny, actually. Actually got a quirk, too. Allows me to control bones and stuff. It's quite cool. But it just happened to turn me into a skeleton. That's really the only side effect." Now from there, Aizawa would then explain what everyone will be doing, and for everyone to go down to Testing Ground E after putting on their PE uniforms. From there, everyone would go to the locker rooms and change and would go out to Testing Ground E. Everyone except Izuku, who would just stick with Aizawa, following him down to Testing Ground E. From there, the entire class would get there after 5 minutes, with Ida yelling at Izuku for not wearing the uniform. Ida would go to Aizawa saying, "Why, sir, why is Izuku not wearing the proper uniform? This is a disgrace to all of us, so we all have to wear the uniform. Why shouldn't he?" Aizawa would just groan, saying he doesn't make enough to deal with their crap right now, and Izuku can wear whatever he wants, as he got permission from Nezu, which was a lie by Aizawa. Izuku didn't get permission from anybody, he just didn't want to have to deal with some screaming kid for the next hour that they had to do the quirk testing. From there, Aizawa would tell Izuku to throw this baseball as far as possible. Izuku would just say yeah, as he would throw the baseball without using any of his powers, which Aizawa would just say, I told you to throw the baseball, not just actually. Throw it with your strength this time. I've seen it. We all have, especially those who saw you taking the test. Izuku would nod, grabbing the ball and chucking it as far as possible, getting around 700 meters, to which the entire class would just be amazed and say, Whoa, I want to do that too! This looks so fun! Aizawa would just stare at them, saying, Oh, if it's so fun, why doesn't the person in last place get expelled? Will it be fun then? The entire class would start shaking, with one of them saying, Hey, you can't do that! I already made it into the school. You can't just expel me on the first day, can you? Aizawa would just laugh, saying, You have no idea what I've done before. You shouldn't really be talking. As Aizawa would bring up the time that he once expelled an entire class of kids because he didn't see them worthy of becoming heroes. He saw no potential in them, so he just decided to expel them. And so the entire class would have shivers down their spine, besides Izuku, who was relaxed and just laid back, knowing that he was going to pass. He already knew Aizawa thought of him as his favorite student because he didn't yell. He was the quietest student because he was the laid back one. So he was already Aizawa's favorite student and knew he would not get expelled. So Izuku just didn't trying his absolute hardest not to try, which was very easy for him since his lazy nature took a hold of him, with him doing the very minimum to pass the test. As Izuku would reveal that he got 19th place, or second to last. The person in last would be Mineta, who would be expelled on the spot and told to go up to his desk and take out all of his things, and his locker to take out all of his things, as he has been hereby expelled from UA, and he can never come back till next year. Mineta would curse at Aizawa, saying that that's not fair, and he'll get his lawyers involved, just grumbling away, saying how he couldn't get to see any of the ladies before he even had to go, which would cause some of the girls to just be glad that he was gone, having not to deal with another weird creep type of person at their school. Izuku would then be scolded by Aizawa for trying his least in any of the tests, but Aizawa could tell he put in the absolute minimum amount of effort into the test just to make sure he wouldn't get expelled, because he didn't want to be fully last, because he wasn't fully sure if he would get expelled if he did, but he just wanted to put somewhat of the effort. From there, 2 days would pass as all of the students would walk into UA, not expecting anything to be waiting for them. However, they were wrong. What they found waiting for them was All Might, who would tell them to all sit down, and for them that they have some hero business to do. The entire class would have their eyes sparkling, saying, What? Hero business? This seems quite cool, doesn't it? As All Might would say, Quiet down, class, quiet down. Now, we'll have a hero assignment, but you all can't be heroes without your costumes, as he would slam his hand down on a button as the wall would start to make some weird noises, revealing just a massive wall of a bunch of hero suits in suitcases, each of them labeled with a desk number. Izuku, already knowing that he didn't have a costume, wouldn't even walk up, as All Might would tell them to all go to the locker rooms to get changed and to go to City Site C. the entire class would nod as Izuku would walk with All Might, just like how he walked with Aizawa. All Might would start to ask about Izuku's quirks and powers, with Izuku just explaining how he can have these bone controls, even summoning a Gaster Blaster so All Might can look at it and examine it closer up. All Might would thank Izuku, with Izuku just saying it was no problem, as they would get to City Site C, seeing none of the students there. A couple of minutes would pass as the students would finally arrive there, as All Might would say, "What took you so long?" "Well, that doesn't matter now. Let's get into this training." "So, I guess I should explain what we'll be doing then. Shall I?" "So, first off, you all are going to have two teams inside of a building. There will be a hero team and a villain team. Each team will have two members on that team. The villain's objective is to have a bomb and to keep that bomb safe from any of the heroes. If the two heroes touch the bomb, then they win. Or if either side makes both of the other team lose by knocking them unconscious or making it so the other team can't move, would also grant their team the victory. Izuku would be told that he is on a team with a girl named Momo, while he is against Bakugo and Uraraka. Izuku, who would have seen Uraraka's quirk knowing it was gravity, would not do anything and would just sit down right by the building's entrance, just sitting there waiting for All Might to tell them that the time is up and that they can go into the building. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, All Might would tell them that they can finally go into the building, as the villains have finished setting up their whole plan and their base area. Izuku would walk in with his back slouched as they would make it up 3 flights of stairs before finally realizing that someone was coming straight at them. This person, of course, being Bakugo, who sees that Izuku now having a power, he needs to show that he is still stronger than Izuku, even with Izuku having a power, which Izuku would see Bakugo running at him, as Bakugo would send a punch flying right at him, with Izuku just teleporting right behind Bakugo, summoning a Gaster Blaster, which would send an energy beam right at Bakugo, which would hit his back, but it wouldn't be as strong as the other ones, which would cause Bakugo to collapse from the pain and would end up becoming knocked out. Izuku would tie Bakugo up in the quirk-canceling tape that All Might had given them, as Izuku and Momo would walk up the final flight of stairs to the final floor. Izuku would sit down, as he would then tell Momo to go take care of Uraraka, as he says that she should probably get some fighting time too, as he shouldn't have all of the fighting time, which is really just Izuku saying he's lazy and he doesn't want to take the final fight on, and Momo should do it. To which she happily agreed to take the fight against Uraraka, as Momo would make a pull from her quirk and would then dodge one of Uraraka's attacks, which would be Uraraka trying to make her levitate, as Momo would just hit Uraraka over the head with her metal bar and would then touch the bomb, giving the heroes the victory. All Might would then come over the intercom, telling both of the students to bring Bakugo and Uraraka back to them so they can take them to Recovery Girl's office. Momo and Izuku would agree, taking them back to All Might, who would then take them to Recovery Girl's office, and when he got back, he would start to assign new people to go down there and to prepare for their assignment test. Now, from there, All Might would ask the class who they thought was the MVP of the entire thing, which somebody would raise their hand, this being Todoroki. He would answer that it was clearly Momo, as Izuku took on the first part, but it was a lot easier than it probably should have been, and he just let Momo take the final fight on instead of helping her. That is why Momo is the MVP of that fight. All Might would thank Todoroki, saying that he is correct, and would then go on to tell the class what they will be doing over the next couple days. And that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy What If Deku Had Sans Powers Part 1. I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye!